The following is a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network.
The Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. And as always, coming to you live from the Pizza Ranch studio and presented by Liona Laborers Local 663, Building, Missouri. And as always, they remind us, hey, drive safely in all the work zones. Those folks want to go home safely as well. Turn our attention now to Kickapoo High School and Kickapoo Chiefs head football coach Nate Thomas. Coach Thomas, thanks so much for joining us today.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Guy.
Coach, 7-3 record a year ago. You finished winning your last 6 regular season games, kind of building on that momentum, but just a tremendous defensive output a year ago. Talk to us a little bit about last year and where you felt like your biggest strides were made.
Just getting those guys that were within our program that were 3-year starters to being seniors. We had a really big senior class that we leaned on a lot. We had 26 of them, and 9 of those guys on defense were seniors. And it was just kind of the culmination of them being in our program for as long as they had been and just being comfortable within our system. And we're able to go out there and execute at a very high level every Friday night.
As you look at last year's team and this year's team, especially you talk about that defense, losing to what you lost to graduation, who are some of the guys that are going to step in and fill those roles? And that may not even be known at this point here in mid-July.
That's what camp's for. We've been in it for 2 weeks now, and we have some guys that are returners for us that have done a really nice job in Gannon Benton and Jake Lamosi, and Anthony Etherly took quite a bit of snaps at linebacker, and then due to an injury kind of there early in the season, Levi Phillips played a lot of free safety for us for about 4 weeks until we got our starter back. So we've got guys that took meaningful reps that on Friday nights that are now just in that starting role. The Sean Campbells and the guys that didn't play quite as much defense as they did last year are going to step into probably some starting roles and be some two-way players for us.
Coach, as you look at that last year's group and just an exceptional defensive effort that year, talk a little bit about maybe your coaching staff. As I understand, you've kind of got some additions to your coaching staff that'll help as well.
We have some huge additions. I hit the assistant coach jackpot, to be honest. And if I would have got one of these guys, I would have been happy. But we got 3 guys that I reached out to this offseason, some guys that I've talked to almost every year since I've been here, trying to get them convinced to come over here. And finally got Aaron Wells over here. He's going to be the offensive coordinator once he feels comfortable and takes this thing over. He's been coaching football a really long time and knows a lot more offensive football than I do. And he makes us a lot better on offense just from an outside perspective, stepping into our program with a new set of eyes and having some things that he's brought to the table has been really good for us. And then Ben Dartery was at Parkview last year. We got him convinced to come over and help with our defensive line, another huge addition for us. And then Mason Hutchins took the health job here. He accepted that last week. He was a GA working with the safeties last year at the University of Arkansas. Another guy that just kind of brings in a new perspective on that defensive side of the ball. And then we've got some other guys that we brought up at the freshman level. Jeremy Rios was our head 8th grade coach last year at Cherokee. Logan Whitley is a guy that played left tackle for us 4 years ago, was a 3-year starter for us. And then Brandon Woolley and Tyree Booker are 2 guys that we added on the offensive side of the ball that when you hire this many coaches, it kind of is a concern, but it really hasn't. They've stepped into these roles and hit a home run in camp so far. I've been really proud of how they coach our guys and the influence they've had on them so far.
Well, from the looks of it, anytime I've driven by there, Chiefs Kingdom, so to speak, it looks like you've had to borrow helmets or something. You've got a ton of kids out. You're going to need that many coaches.
Yeah, we've had to borrow some helmets. We got a couple guys running around, and Shim Johnson was kind enough to lend us some helmets. We've had to go over and borrow some helmets from other guys. I've issued every helmet I got. We've got 52 freshmen out. I think we're at like 158 kids out for football right now. So it's a lot of kids out, and our coaches are doing a good job of making sure we get every one of those guys coached and get them reps here in camp. And it's when you got them all together, which was yesterday. We went over and did a little scrimmage with Ozark. It was a tremendous day. Jeremy does a really nice job, very, very organized. Ozark's in good hands with him for sure. But when you roll out onto that field with 9 through 12 with us, we've got a small gold army that it's kind of comforting when you walk out there with 150, 160 dudes and they're all dressed in gold. So it was a good day yesterday.
Could you talk about yesterday? What else have you done over the summer? And I know we're just a handful of days until we get to the dead period, but what have you done up to this point over the summer? What do you have coming up? And then what are you doing over Dead Week?
We got we did the air raid 7-on-7 over there with Aaron over there at Allison Sports Town. He does a fantastic job, him and his wife, putting that on. And then we did the Chiefs 11 on. They invited us to that again. We ended up winning that, which was just that day for the 8 schools that were there. I found out actually just this morning, Gary Spaney, who was a linebacker for the Chiefs that is in the Ring of Honor, that puts that on. We found out we lost to Lee Summit North for first place by just 8 points. We needed to do a little bit better in the tug of war. We'd have had a back-to-back championship, brought home the trophy. And then we've been in camp the last 2 weeks. I know you're going to have Andy Learman here on probably tomorrow, and he's going to come down. We did a deal last year where we did a little combined practice, kind of like they do in the NFL. So he's going to come down Wednesday. We'll hook it up with them from about 7:30 till about 9 o'clock at night. And then I'm going to bring them in, let them watch film. They're going to spend the night in the gym. And then we're going to wake up again the next morning, hook it up again at 7 and go till about 9:15. And they're going to jump on the bus and they're going to head home. Dead week, I'm not sure. I really don't know. My wife's in charge of that. She just tells me to get in the car and we point it some direction, and that's where we head. Been rumors of going back to Blue Ridge, Georgia, or Broken Bow, Oklahoma, one of those two up in the mountains somewhere. So it's my turn. She gets the beaches and I get the mountains. So hopefully it's one of those two places.
Very good. Well, Coach, as always, I greatly appreciate you being generous with your time. I know it's camp week and you're preparing for things, but always a good opportunity to catch up. And thanks so much for being part of the Missouri Sports Network here today.
Thanks for having me on, Guy. I appreciate everything you do for high school athletics.
Hey, you bet. You bet. Coach Nate Thomas, Kickapoo Chiefs head football coach, and we'll be back after these messages on the Missouri Sports Network.
This has been a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network. Thank you for tuning in.